So it's day 307 of Hey, What Are You Doing Today? Well, the sun comes back tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about that one. Had a series of bitterly cold days last week or maybe more. Just bone-chilling cold. Tomorrow it's going to be 50 degrees. Pretty excited about 50. I feel like summertime. A buddy of mine just sent me a picture of, texted me a picture of some people on the beach in Southern California. It says 80 degrees today or something. I think it's maybe 10 or 15 degrees here, maybe. Snowed today a little bit. Anyway, so yesterday, get myself adjusted here. Yesterday I went to church. First time in a long time I've gone to church, and it was actually the only time in my life where I actually wanted to go to church. I actually had I was looking forward to it. I'm not sure what I was hoping for. I kind of just felt like, I think I mentioned in a couple of videos prior, going back and visiting, like going to an old friend's house or something. That's kind of the way I was looking at it, the way that I was feeling it. And then, I have to say I was kind of put off a little bit. Like I said, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it felt good. I shouldn't say that. There were certain aspects that felt really good, really welcoming. When we got there was an older gentleman helping a disabled lady, and there was a sense of community in this church. Not real strong, but it was something, that I wanted to acknowledge. I kind of like that. And it was nice to sing. I never really cared too much about singing in church, but it was actually an enjoyable experience for the first time. I like that. What turned me off, though, I was looking around and I just didn't get that sense of things being so ornate, and it made me think. I mean, it's something that Christ would have wanted, in his humility and his reservation. Would he have wanted big gold candles and pictures and big ornate statues and an ornate church and these peculiar procedures, and there's an element of tradition. And it also kind of had me wondering, what are all these symbols that I don't know anything about? What are all these? Where does it made me want to investigate some of that. It made me want to understand different elements of the church that I don't know anything about. But that side of it, that ornate, does it really need to be like that to experience the things that I've been experiencing here recently? So that was the big thing. One thing that was kind of interesting, though, we've gone into the Lent season, and that seems to be kind of turning into a big what's the right word? Turning into a big component of what's going on right now with my version of Hey, What Are You Doing Today? The fact that it's Lent, I've given up a couple things, and I guess I should stick with the original thought. But anyway, the conversation of Lent came up in the Word, and something I never really knew or never really thought about, but it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, and that was that the Israelites, when they were leaving Egypt, going to the Promised Land, and they were in the desert, apparently it was a 40-day period in the desert, 40 year. It's 40 days for Jesus in the wilderness, in the desert, going through Lent, and it was 40 years for the Israelites I was thinking it was about 40 years of me walking around in the desert. That's kind of what I equated it to, was my 40 years blindly in that scenario, and kind of seeing a sense of a promised land. I'm still trying to figure out what to make of it. I'm still trying to get a grasp on everything. But that was an interesting aside. Was that was mentioned that it took 40 years for the Israelites to make it to the promised land. And here in my 40th year, I feel in some regards I'm being delivered from this plane of existence, and all of a sudden the spiritual plane is starting to make a little bit more sense. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, just kind of briefly, is kind of I'd mentioned that letting myself go to the higher power, and somehow that giving me the strength to do things that I couldn't do for myself. I couldn't crack the 180s. And what's strange is I've had some really good runs. Yesterday, it was kind of peculiar. It might sound a little odd, but I decided to run listening to the Psalms with a little bit of music in the background, just a recording that I had found online. And as I started listening to the Psalms, I decided, well, I'll run. It seemed like they were about a minute long at the beginning, so I decided, well, I'll get through 40 Psalms. I'll do it to honor the higher power with my body, kind of thing. That's another thing that had come up. Honor God with your body. So I said, you know what, I'll push myself through 40 Psalms. Well, it ended up being a 7-mile run, and I went into it with the attitude of I was just going to get a mile or two and be done with it. So I pushed 7 miles, and then today I woke up and legs were a little bit sore. I said I was just going to run a nice easy mile at a little bit slower pace, and I started listening to the Psalms. Yes, as well. Shoot, I can run 10 Psalms. Well, those 10 Psalms turned into a nice 2-mile run. But on top of that, there's been little situations and little scenarios where I'm trying to listen to the voice inside me, and I'm trying to decipher the difference between the voice inside me and obsessive compulsive disorder. And not that I have obsessive compulsive disorder, but I think that there's a fine line between listening to that voice and actually experiencing an OCD thing. But I came to the point where that little voice inside of me was telling me to stop eating something, or to do something, or to, even something as simple as make the bed more perfectly. I can make the bed, or I can make it very straight and blah blah blah. But there's something to that. There's something to putting myself through that exercise. So I've accepted that, whatever, it's still a battle, but what pops into my head to do as I go through this Lent period, I'm going to kind of do it as best I can. So if something tells me to go back and make the bed 3 times, I'm going to go back and make the bed 3 times. And initially it seems very annoying. It seems a very annoying task. But the peculiar thing is I sense that there's some training in it. I don't know why or what or when or where, but I'm not going to ask any questions about it. I'm just going to do it. And the benefit that I've already seen coming from that is, it's halfway through some food today, and the voice said, stop eating. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop eating. So I threw it away, and that'd probably save me 100 calories. And I wasn't hungry afterwards, so I was fine there. I mean, it's just one of those things, The same thing with the voice of, run 40 Psalms. I mean, okay, so I did it and busted out 7 miles and felt good about it. This morning is initially the voice told me take it easy, just do a mile at a low pace and kind of get your legs back a little bit from the 7-mile run. And then about 2 minutes into the run, the voice said, "Well, run for 10 more psalms." So I did it, and there was 2 miles. I got an extra mile out of it. So the benefit is already kind of showing itself, even though it's it's a demonstration in some regards of maybe that obsessive compulsive disorder, but it's teaching me something. It's even just as simple as taking them back to the Karate Kid and wax on and wax off, and doing something over and over and over and over again. And that was an element of mastery, but it's an element of mastering my mind, mastering my body, mastering my having everything else pay attention to the spirit, and at the same time, while going through that accord, trying to maintain a positive attitude versus being upset or bothered by the situation. Literally spent about 10 minutes arranging a bed yesterday morning. This morning, I was running a little bit behind, and the voice told me to do about 15 different tasks that I could have very easily ignored, and normally I probably would have ignored. But at the same time, while I was doing it, I'm thinking, I'm going to be late for work or this and that. And then what was funny is I kept doing it, and in the back of my head, I was also hearing a voice, a piece of information that I've got somewhere along the way, somewhere along this journey of, hey, what are you doing today? And that was that hurry is the death blow to poise. And so every time I felt like I was doing this task and I was trying to hurry to get it done so I could move on, and also that came into my head to keep my poise about it. And then there was also another saying that never let anyone else control your time. Never give your time is kind of that thought that my time is mine, and that I should never feel in a hurry for someone else. I should never feel. There's kind of a fine line if you make a commitment with your time with somebody. In my mind, if you make an appointment, something like that, you should be there. But I should never sacrifice my time for someone else. There's a fine line between the ego and humility there as well. But what it really means is that to me is that nobody should ever control my time. And if I'm going to be a little bit late for a work, for a job, that's somebody else's stuff. It's not me. It's not my time. My time is taking care of the things that I have to take care of, taking care of these small tasks, not being in a hurry, maintaining my poise. So I think as I babble on, I think maybe it kind of creates that idea of the benefit in this routine, and this routine of routines and sort, this benefit of paying attention to that voice and observing it and honoring it as something more than just the voice of obsessive compulsive, just letting it make the decision, just seeing how things go. So it's an interesting practice. But welcome to Lent. It's day 307. Hey, what are you doing today? Thanks.